The triple suns of Vion, 3 hung high in the sky, casting a dazzling glow over the shimmering towers of the Galactic Council's summit hall. The air buzzed with energy as ships from across the galaxy docked at the sprawling spaceport. Giant insectoids with gleaming exoskeletons, glowing beings of pure light, and towering reptiles with scales that shifted like liquid metal, all had come to negotiate, trade, and flex their power. Each delegation brought guards bristling with weapons, plasma spears, sonic rifles, and drones that hummed with deadly intent. It was a tradition as old as the council itself: show your strength, and no one dares challenge you. But then, the humans arrived. Their ship was small compared to the others, a sleek silver craft that glided silently into the docking bay. No cannons poked from its hull, no energy shields crackled around it. The airlock hissed open, and out stepped Ambassador Lena, a woman with sharp eyes and a warm smile that seemed to put everyone at ease. Behind her walked 4 guards, Tom, Kira, Ben, and Mia, dressed in simple black uniforms. No guns hung at their hips. No blades glinted in their hands. They carried nothing but calm expressions and a quiet confidence that made the other delegations pause. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Were the humans mocking the summit? Or had they simply forgotten their gear? Gorvax, the chief of security, watched from the control tower overlooking the hall. His reptilian form loomed over the glowing screens, his scales flickering between green and a nervous yellow. He'd guarded summits for decades, and nothing rattled him, until now. No weapons, he growled, his deep voice echoing in the chamber. His assistant, a small crystalline creature named Tiv, floated beside him, its body sparkling with amusement. Scans confirm it, sir. Not a single energy signature. Just, humans. Gorvax's tail twitched. This breaks every rule. Armed guards are required. It's how we keep order. Tiv's light pulsed. Maybe they think order comes from something else. Down in the summit hall, the delegations mingled under the crystalline dome. The insectoid Vexi clicked their mandibles, their guards clutching plasma spears that could slice through steel. The luminous ones, beings of glowing energy, floated gracefully, their staves crackling with faint power. Even the pacifist Oral, a species of squid-like traders, had drones orbiting them, ready to zap anyone who got too close. Then there were the humans. Lena strode forward, shaking hands, or tentacles, or claws, with ease, while her guards spread out around her. Tom scanned the room with a lazy grin. Kira stretched her arms like she'd just woken up. Ben adjusted his collar, and Mia stood still, her eyes flicking to every corner. They looked relaxed, almost bored. But something about them felt off. Gorvax zoomed in on his screen, studying the humans closely. Their movements were too smooth, too precise. When a Vexi guard bumped into Tom, the human stepped aside so fast it looked like he predicted it. When a luminous one's staff sparked too close to Lena, Mia shifted just enough to block the stray energy with her body, then smiled as if nothing happened. They're not normal, Gorvax muttered. Tiv chimed, its voice like a soft bell. Maybe they don't need weapons because they are weapons. Gorvax snorted. Ridiculous. No species survives without tools. Not in this galaxy. The summit's opening ceremony began with a low hum as the council's leader, a massive jellyfish-like being named Kair, floated to the center. Its voice boomed through translators. We gather to build peace and prosperity. Let all show their strength and honor. The delegations cheered, raising weapons or flashing lights in a dazzling display. The humans clapped politely, but their guards didn't move. Kair's tentacles twitched, a sign of confusion, but it said nothing. Lena stepped forward to speak, her voice steady. Earth seeks cooperation, not dominance. We bring ideas, not threats. The room went quiet. Ideas? Without weapons to back them up. The Vexi clicked in disbelief, and the Oral's drones buzzed louder. Then it happened, a small glitch, but enough to shift the mood. A maintenance drone, hovering near the ceiling, sparked and plummeted toward the crowd. Alien guards raised their weapons, ready to blast it, but the shots would have hit delegates too. Before chaos could erupt, Ben leaped onto a table, grabbed a metal tray from a food cart, and flung it like a disc. The tray spun through the air, smashing the drone into a wall with a loud crash. Silence fell. Ben hopped down, brushing his hands. "Sorry about the mess," he said with a shrug. The aliens stared, weapons still raised, unsure what they'd just seen. Gorvax's scales turned a deep orange. Did he just improvise that? Tiv sparkled brighter. Looks like it. No tech, no plan, just a tray and good aim. Gorvax leaned closer to the screen. Ben hadn't hesitated. Neither had the others. Kira had positioned herself to shield Lena, while Tom and Mia had tracked the drone's fall, ready to act. It was fast, too fast, like they'd trained for this 1,000 times. "They're hiding something," Gorvax said. "No one's that good without gear." Tiv tilted its form. "Or maybe they're just that good because they don't need it." As Lena resumed her speech, the aliens kept glancing at the humans. The Vexi tightened their grips on their spears. The luminous ones dimmed slightly, rethinking their staves. The Orioles' drones circled tighter. The humans, though, stayed calm, their guards chatting quietly among themselves. Lena finished with, "Strength isn't in what you carry, it's in what you do." The words hung in the air, bold and strange. Gorvax rubbed his snout. "We'll see about that," he muttered. Something told him this summit was about to get a lot more interesting, and he wasn't sure the galaxy was ready for it. The summit hall on Vian 3 buzzed with tension after the opening ceremony. The triple suns outside painted the crystalline walls with shifting colors, but inside, the mood was anything but bright. Delegates from across the galaxy whispered about the humans, about their unarmed guards and that odd moment with the drone. Ambassador Lena stood at the center of it all, her voice steady as she laid out Earth's proposal for a trade treaty. She spoke of sharing rare minerals found on human colonies, offering a plan where every species could benefit. Her words were bold, her smile genuine, but the aliens weren't listening to her ideas. Their eyes kept drifting to Tom, Kira, Ben, and Mia, who stood around her like shadows, hands empty, faces calm. To the Galactic Council, it didn't make sense. Strength meant weapons. Power meant firepower. So what were the humans playing at? Gorvax paced in the control tower, his scales flickering between yellow and a suspicious red. He'd seen wars start over less than this. A delegation showing up unprepared could be seen as an insult, or worse, a trap. "They're up to something," he growled, glaring at the screens. Tiv, his crystalline assistant, floated nearby, its light pulsing with curiosity. "Or maybe they're just different, sir. Look at them. They don't even flinch." Gorvax snorted. "Different gets you killed in this galaxy. I need to know what they're hiding." He tapped a claw on the console, pulling up scans of the human guards. Muscle density higher than most species, reflexes off the charts, but no tech, no implants, nothing to explain that stunt with the drone. It gnawed at him. Tradition demanded visible strength, and the humans were breaking it. He had to test them. Down in the hall, the debates heated up. The Vexi, with their clicking mandibles, demanded more minerals for their hives. The luminous ones flickered, insisting their energy tech deserved a bigger share. The Oriole waved their tentacles, arguing for trade routes through their systems. Lena listened, nodding, then raised a hand. Earth's plan splits the resources fairly. No one wins by taking more than they give. Her guards shifted slightly as she spoke, keeping her in their sight. The aliens noticed. A Vexi delegate hissed, "Fairness? From a species too weak to arm its protectors." The room murmured in agreement. Lena smiled. Weakness is assuming you need a weapon to prove your worth. The murmurs turned to snorts and chuckles. The humans were either fools or mad, or both. Gorvax saw his chance. If the humans wanted to flaunt their strangeness, he'd force their hand. He leaned into his comms. Release the security drones. Low threat protocol. Let's see what they do. Tiv's light dimmed. Sir, that's not standard, Gorvax cut it off. It's my call. They'll either show their tricks or prove they're helpless. A hum filled the hall as 6 sleek drones dropped from the ceiling, their lights blinking red. Kair, the jellyfish-like council leader, floated higher, its voice calm but firm. A routine test of defenses. Please, remain seated. The aliens gripped their weapons, ready to show off. The humans didn't move. The drones swooped low, darting between delegates with mock aggression. The Vexi guards swung their plasma spears, slicing one drone in half. Sparks flew, nearly hitting an Oral. The luminous ones fired energy pulses from their staves, missing and scorching a wall. The Oral's drones buzzed in a panic, zapping each other by mistake. Chaos spread fast, but the human guards stayed still, watching. Then, as a drone veered toward Lena, Kira stepped forward. She grabbed a chair, spun it like a dancer, and smashed the drone to the floor. It sparked and died. The room froze. Before anyone could blink, Tom snatched a tray from a nearby table, hurling it at another drone. The metal disc whirled, clipping its wings, and sent it crashing into a pillar. Ben and Mia moved next, Ben yanking a cable from a display and whipping it around a drone's legs, pulling it down, while Mia actually jumped, onto a table, kicking a drone mid-air into the wall. 6 drones, 6 seconds, all down. Silence. Lena didn't miss a beat. As I was saying, cooperation beats competition every time. She stepped over a sparking drone husk, her guards falling back into place like nothing happened. The aliens stared, weapons still raised, jaws, or whatever they had, open. Gorvax's scales turned a stunned purple. What was that? Tiv sparkled brightly. That, sir, was them passing your test. With furniture. Gorvax growled, replaying the footage. Kira's spin had been too smooth, Tom's throw too precise. Ben's cable trick and Mia's leap defied logic. No weapons, no tech, just reflexes and, what? Creativity. It didn't add up. The Vexi delegate clicked furiously. They mock us. No tools, yet they act superior. A luminous one pulsed, its voice soft but sharp. Perhaps they hide their power to deceive. The Oral's tentacles waved. Or they're mad enough to think this works. Lena tilted her head. We don't hide anything. You saw what we are. The aliens didn't buy it. Suspicion thickened the air. Kair's tentacles curled, a sign of unease, but it said, the test is complete. Let us proceed. The delegates grumbled, settling back, but their eyes stayed on the humans. The guards, meanwhile, dusted off their hands. Tom muttered to Kira, think they'll try that again? She grinned. Hope so. I was just warming up. Gorvax stormed out of the tower, heading for the hall. He needed answers, not guesses. By the time he reached the floor, the debates had resumed, but the mood had shifted. The aliens kept their distance from the humans, their guards clutching weapons tighter. Gorvax approached Lena, his bulk towering over her. Explain your guards, he demanded. No weapons, yet they do, that. Lena met his gaze, unflinched. They're trained to solve problems, not start them. Weapons aren't always the answer. Gorvax's scales flared red. This is the galaxy, human. Problems are weapons. She smiled. Then maybe the galaxy needs a new way. He stepped back, unsure what to make of her. Tiv floated up, chiming softly. She's got a point, sir. They didn't just stop the drones, they outsmarted them. Gorvax didn't want to hear it. Outsmarted? With chairs and trays? It was absurd. Yet the proof lay in pieces on the floor. He glanced at the guards. Tom leaned against a pillar, whistling. Kira stretched her neck. Ben and Mia chatted quietly, scanning the room. They weren't shaken. They weren't even breathing hard. It rattled him more than he'd admit. The debates dragged on, but the humans had changed the game. The Vexi whispered about tricks. The luminous ones studied the guards like puzzles. The Oral recalculated their odds. Lena pushed her treaty, her voice cutting through the noise. Earth offers partnership. Take it or leave it. The aliens hesitated. Partnership sounded nice, but those guards, those weaponless, fearless humans, made it feel like a dare. Gorvax returned to his tower, scales settling into a thoughtful blue. Keep recording, he told Tiv. Every move they make. Tiv pulsed. Already on it. This is getting good. As the suns dipped lower, casting long shadows across Vian 3, the summit hall simmered with unease. The humans had passed the test, but it only deepened the mystery. Why no weapons? What drove their confidence? Gorvax stared at the screens, replaying the drone fight. Each move was sharp, deliberate, yet spontaneous, like they'd turned chaos into a tool. Tiv's voice broke his thoughts. Sir, what if they don't need weapons because they think differently? Gorvax grunted. Thinking doesn't win fights. Tiv sparkled. It just did. He couldn't argue with that. Not yet. The day ended with no answers, only questions. Lena and her guards left the hall, chatting like it was just another day. The aliens watched them go, unsure if they'd seen weakness or something far scarier. Gorvax leaned back, claws tapping. Tomorrow, he muttered. We'll push harder tomorrow. Tiv chimed, can't wait to see what they break next. The sun set, and the galaxy held its breath, wondering what these strange humans would do when the real test came. The second day of the summit on Vian 3 dawned with a restless energy. The triple suns rose, bathing the crystalline hall in a golden glow, but the air inside crackled with unease. Delegates shuffled into their seats, their guards clutching weapons tighter than ever. The humans, Ambassador Lena and her unarmed guards, Tom, Kira, Ben, and Mia, had left everyone on edge after dismantling Gorvax's drone test with nothing but chairs and trays. Whispers filled the room. The Vexi clicked about trickery. The luminous ones pulsed with doubt. The Oral's drones buzzed nervously. Lena stood at the podium, pushing her trade treaty with the same calm confidence, but the aliens weren't focused on minerals anymore. They were watching her guards, waiting for the next surprise. Gorvax brooded in the control tower, his scales a stormy mix of red and blue. He'd spent the night reviewing footage, searching for a crack in the humans' mystery. Nothing. No hidden tech, no secret signals, just raw skill and an eerie calm. They're bluffing, he muttered, claws digging into the console. Tiv, his crystalline assistant, floated beside him, sparkling with excitement. Or they're just that good, sir. Ever think of that? Gorvax growled. No one's that good without weapons. Not against real threats. Tiv pulsed. Maybe we'll find out today. Gorvax's tail twitched. He didn't like the sound of that, but something told him Tiv was right. The debates kicked off with a snarl. The Vexi demanded control of the mineral routes, their guards slamming plasma spears on the floor for emphasis. The luminous ones countered with a plan to power the trade network with their tech, their staves glowing brighter. The Oral flailed their tentacles, insisting on a cut of the profits. Lena listened, then stepped forward. Earth's plan balances it all, resources for everyone, no one left out. Her voice cut through the noise, steady as ever. Tom leaned against a pillar, smirking. Kira cracked her knuckles. Ben and Mia stood close, eyes scanning the room. The alien scoffed. Balance sounded weak when you didn't back it with steel or fire. Then it happened. A low rumble shook the hall, faint at first, like distant thunder. Delegates froze. Gorvax's screens lit up with alerts, energy spikes, movement outside the dome. Before he could bark an order, the far wall exploded inward, showering the room with crystalline shards. Through the dust stormed a dozen insectoid figures, the Cricks, a rogue faction exiled from the Vexi hives. Their armor gleamed black, their claws carried disruptor guns that hummed with deadly charge. "The minerals are ours," their leader screeched, firing a blast that melted a table into slag. Chaos erupted. Alien guards sprang into action, but the Cricks were ready. Vexi spears clashed against Crick's armor, sparking uselessly. Luminous staves fired energy bolts, but the Cricks dodged with eerie speed. Oral drones zipped forward, only to be swatted down by disruptor shots. Delegates dove for cover, shouting in a dozen languages. Gorvax roared into his comms, "All units, engage." His security drones poured from the ceiling, but the Cricks gunned them down in seconds. The hall became a battlefield, and the Council's armed might crumbled fast. Lena didn't flinch. She ducked behind the podium, glancing at her guards. "Looks like a real test this time," she said, almost amused. Tom grinned. "About time." Kira nodded. "Let's move." In an instant, the four humans split apart, weaving through the chaos like they'd rehearsed it. The Crick's leader aimed at Lena, but Ben was already there. He grabbed a fallen chair, spun it into the air, and knocked the gun aside mid-shot. The blast hit a pillar instead, cracking it. Mia sprinted past, snatching a cable from a shattered display. She looped it around a Crick's legs, yanking hard. The alien crashed down, its gun skittering away. Tom darted toward the main group, picking up a tray from the floor. A Crix fired at him, but he twisted, deflecting the shot with the tray's edge. The beam ricocheted into another Crix, stunning it. Tom didn't stop, he hurled the tray like a boomerang, smashing it into a third Crix's head. Kira, meanwhile, climbed a table, leaping onto a Crix's back. She locked her arms around its neck, twisting until it dropped its weapon, then kicked it into a wall. The aliens fought with tech and fury, the humans fought with whatever was at hand, and they were winning. Gorvax watched, scales flashing every color of shock. "They're insane," he yelled. Tiv sparkled wildly. "Insane or brilliant, sir?" "Look." The screens showed it all, Ben flipping a table to block a Crix charge, Mia using a light fixture to blind another, Tom turning a broken spear into a tripping hazard, Kira redirecting a Crix's own gun to shoot its ally. It wasn't just speed or strength, it was chaos turned into a weapon. The Crix, trained for firepower, couldn't keep up with the humans' unpredictable moves. The Vexi guards rallied, inspired by the humans' defiance. One shouted, "Fight with them," and swung its spear, finally landing a hit. The luminous ones pulsed brighter, focusing their staves into a shield to cover Lena. The Oral's surviving drones buzzed in tighter patterns, zapping Crix from above. The tide shifted, but the Crix leader wasn't done. It screeched, "End this," and fired a wide disruptor wave. The blast tore through the hall, toppling pillars and scattering delegates. Lena stood her ground, shouting, "We can talk this out." The Crix laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Talk is for the weak." Ben grabbed Lena, pulling her behind a slab of fallen crystal. "Not weak," he muttered, "just stubborn." The guards regrouped around her, dodging blasts. Tom spotted a dangling cable from the ceiling, cut loose by the explosion. "Kira, up there." She nodded, scaling a cracked pillar with ease. Reaching the cable, she swung across the hall, dropping onto the Crix leader from above. She tackled it to the ground, pinning its arms. "Let's chat," she said, voice sharp. The leader thrashed, but Kira held tight, her grip like iron. Mia and Ben tackled the remaining cricks, using debris, a chair leg, a shard of glass, to disarm them. Tom found a busted drone, rewired it in seconds, and sent it buzzing into the last crick's face. It stumbled, and a Vexy guard finished it off. The hall fell quiet, save for the leaderess' struggles, under Kira's hold. Lena stepped out, brushing dust off her suit. "You want the minerals? Join the treaty. Fight us, and you lose more than this." The crick's leader hissed, but its eyes darted, cornered, outmatched. Gorvax burst into the hall, his security team trailing. "Secure them," he barked, pointing at the cricks. His scales settled into a dazed blue as he surveyed the wreckage. The humans had turned a massacre into a standoff, all without firing a shot. Kair floated forward, its tentacles steady now. The humans have proven their point. Strength is not only in weapons. The delegates murmured, some nodding, others still wary. The Vexy clicked in reluctant respect. The luminous ones glowed brighter, intrigued. The Oral recalculated again. Lena faced the Crick's leader as Gorvax's team bound its claws. "We don't want war. We want solutions. Your move." It glared, then slumped, defeated. The guard stepped back, breathing hard but grinning. Tom nudged Kira. "Nice swing." She smirked. "Nice rewiring." Ben dusted his hands. "Could have been worse." Mia laughed. "Could have been boring." The aliens watched, stunned. These humans didn't just survive, they thrived in the mess. Gorvax approached Lena, voice low. "You could have died. Why risk it?" She met his gaze. "Risk is how we grow. Weapons just hide the real fight." He stared, scales flickering. Tiv chimed, "Told you, sir. They think different." Gorvax didn't reply, but his eyes lingered on the guards. The cricks were hauled away, the hull a ruin, yet the humans stood tall. The summit wasn't over, but the galaxy had just glimpsed something new, something that didn't need guns to win. The summit hall on Vian 3 lay in shambles, its crystalline walls cracked and its floor littered with debris. The triple suns shone through the broken dome, casting jagged shadows over the scene. The Crick's attackers were gone, hauled off by Gorvax's security team, their disruptor guns silent at last. Delegates emerged from hiding, brushing dust off their robes, scales, and tentacles. The Vexy clicked in low tones, their pride stung but intact. The luminous ones pulsed faintly, still processing the chaos. The Oral recalibrated their drones, muttering about losses. At the center stood Ambassador Lena, her suit wrinkled but her smile unshaken. Around her, Tom, Kira, Ben, and Mia dusted off their hands, joking like they'd just finished a tough workout. The Galactic Council had survived, but no one could look away from the humans. Gorvax stood near the podium, his scales a steady blue now, though his tail twitched with unease. He'd seen battles before, bloody, loud, and predictable. This was different. The humans had turned a war zone into a negotiation, using scraps and grit instead of firepower. He glanced at Tiv, who sparkled beside him. "They're not normal," he said, voice gruff. Tiv pulsed brightly. "Normal's overrated, sir. They just saved us all." Gorvax didn't argue. The proof was in the wreckage, tables flipped, cables tangled, cricks sprawled out cold. He'd demanded answers from the start, and now the galaxy did too. Kair, the jellyfish-like council leader, floated forward, its tentacles curling thoughtfully. The hall quieted as its voice boomed through translators. "The humans have shown us something unexpected. Speak, Ambassador. Why do your guards carry no weapons?" The question hung heavy. Every delegate leaned in, the Vexi with narrowed eyes, the luminous ones flickering, the Orioles drones hovering still. Lena stepped up, her guards fanning out behind her. She took a breath, then spoke clear and simple. Earth isn't a soft place. It's harsh, storms, predators, gravity that crushes. We didn't survive by hiding behind tools. We learned to think, to adapt, to turn anything into what we need. Our guards don't carry weapons because they don't have to. They're enough. The room stirred. A Vexi delegate hissed, enough? Against guns and armor. Lena nodded. You saw it. A chair, a tray, a cable, anything's a tool if you know how to use it. Weapons limit you. We don't. Tom grinned, leaning on a broken pillar. Kira cracked her neck, smirking. Ben and Mia stood ready, eyes sharp. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. They'd built empires on tech and force, the humans had just torn that idea apart. Kair's tentacles waved. And this, fighting without harm. You spared the cricks. Lena's smile softened. Killing's easy. Solving's hard. We train our guards to fix things, not break them. Gorvak stepped closer, scales flickering. Fix things. They turned my hall into a junkyard. Lena met his glare. And stopped a war. Which matters more? He paused, claws flexing. Tiv chimed, she's got you there, sir. The delegates murmured, some nodding, others doubtful. The luminous ones pulsed brighter, intrigued. Your world made you this way, one asked. Lena nodded. Earth forged us. Every step was a fight, against nature, against ourselves. We didn't get claws or wings. We got minds that don't quit and bodies that keep going. That's our strength. The hall buzzed as the aliens processed her words. The Vexi clicked, a death world. The Oriole waved, impossible odds. The luminous ones glowed, fascinating. Kair silenced them with a hum. Your guards, are they warriors? Lena glanced at her team. They're protectors. Trained to de-escalate, to think fast, to keep peace. Our warriors, well, they're busier elsewhere. A chill ran through the room. Tom chuckled. Don't ask about them. You'd lose sleep. The aliens didn't laugh. If these were the peaceful humans, what were the others like? Gorvax pulled up his scanner, replaying the fight. Kira swinging from a cable, pinning the Crick's leader. Ben flipping tables like shields. Mia blinding foes with a light fixture. Tom rewiring a drone on the fly. No weapons, yet every move was lethal in its own way, controlled, precise, creative. They're walking chaos, he muttered. Tiv sparkled. Chaos with a purpose. That's the trick. Gorvax's scales settled into a thoughtful shade. He'd spent decades enforcing rules, armed guards, visible strength. The humans broke those rules and won. It didn't just challenge his protocols, it challenged everything. Kair floated higher. The treaty, your terms stand. The council votes. The delegates hesitated, then raised hands, claws, and lights. The Vexi grumbled but agreed, they'd seen the humans fight beside them. The luminous ones approved, drawn to the ingenuity. The Oriole nodded, calculating new alliances. Even the Crick's leader, bound and silent, didn't protest. The treaty passed, blending Earth's ideas with the galaxy's needs. Kair's voice softened. Your way, it changes us. We will learn from it. Lena bowed slightly. Good. That's all we ask. The summit ended not with fanfare, but with a quiet shift. The aliens watched the humans pack up, their ship humming to life outside. Gorvax approached Lena one last time. You didn't need to risk this. Why come unarmed? She shrugged. To show you were serious. Trust starts with us. He stared, then stepped back. You're mad. Tiv chimed, mad and brilliant, sir. Gorvax grunted, but a flicker of respect crossed his face. He turned to his console, rewriting the security codes. Visible weapons optional, he typed, then paused. Maybe the humans were onto something. As the human ship lifted off, the galaxy buzzed with stories. Delegates sent reports, about the unarmed guards, the Krik's defeat, the treaty born from chaos. The Vexi trained with improvised tools, curious. The luminous ones studied human adaptability, inspired. The oral traded tales of Earth's death world, half in awe, half in fear. Word spread beyond Vian, free, to distant stars and shadowed fleets. The humans hadn't just won a summit, they'd planted a seed. A seed of wonder, of possibility, of a strength that didn't need to shout. Back on the ship, Lena sat with her guards, the galaxy stretching out before them. Think they'll figure us out? She asked. Tom laughed. Not a chance. Kira stretched. They'll try, though. That's the fun part. Ben nodded. Keeps it interesting. Mia smiled. Next time, I want a bigger challenge. Lena leaned back, grinning. Oh, there'll be a next time. Always is. The ship hummed onward, carrying its crew of dreamers and doers into the unknown. They didn't need weapons, not when they had each other, and a universe waiting to be surprised. Gorvax stood alone in the tower, Tiv at his side. The hall was empty now, repairs underway. He stared at the stars, scales calm at last. What's next for them, he wondered aloud. Tiv pulsed. Anything they want, sir. That's the scary part. Gorvax snorted, but it wasn't dismissive. He'd update the protocols, train his teams, maybe even learn a trick or two. The galaxy wasn't the same, not after this. And somewhere out there, the humans kept moving, proving that the real power wasn't in what you held, but in what you could imagine. The sun set on Vian, 3, and the story didn't end, it grew. A tale of a species that turned weakness into wonder, chaos into creation. The Galactic Council had asked why the humans carried no weapons. Now they knew, because they didn't need them. And that truth, simple and wild, echoed across the stars, a spark for anyone brave enough to chase it.